Have you ever wondered what could cause a war so massive it involved over 30 countries and shaped the world as we know it today? This question invokes the start of the Second World War, a conflict that truly changed the course of human history. To understand the genesis of the war, we turn our gaze to the Treaty of Versailles. Signed in 1919, this peace treaty ended the First World War, but set the stage for the Second. The treaty imposed heavy penalties on Germany, leaving the nation financially crippled and its people bitter. This resentment created a fertile ground for the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party, who promised to restore Germany's pride and power. Parallel to the rise of the Nazis was the surge of fascism in Italy under Benito Mussolini. Also promising national rejuvenation, Mussolini sought to create a new Roman Empire, aligning Italy with Nazi Germany. To the east, Joseph Stalin was consolidating his power in the Soviet Union, setting up another key player in the impending conflict. These political shifts set the stage for war, but it was the invasion of Poland by Germany in September of 1939 that lit the fuse. Ignoring international pleas for peace, Hitler's forces stormed into Poland, marking the start of the Second World War. Britain and France, committed to maintaining Poland's sovereignty, declared war on Germany. And just like that, the world was plunged into a conflict that would last for 6 long years. It's crucial to remember that these events didn't occur in isolation. They were the result of years of political maneuvering, economic instability, and a failure of diplomacy. Each decision, each action, each alliance was a stepping stone on the path to war. Thus, with the invasion of Poland, the world was thrust into a conflict of unprecedented scale. This was the beginning of a war that would claim millions of lives, reshape political landscapes, and forever alter the course of history. As the war escalated, several key battles and events shaped its course. What were they? Let's dive right in. Firstly, we cannot overlook the Battle of Britain, a significant confrontation that took place in the summer and autumn of 1940. It was here that Britain stood alone against the mighty German Luftwaffe. The stakes were high. Britain's survival hung in the balance. Through resilience and the effective use of radar, the British Royal Air Force was able to repel the German onslaught. This victory not only preserved Britain as a crucial base for future Allied counterattacks, but also marked Nazi Germany's first major defeat. Next, we turn to the invasion of the USSR by Germany, a critical event known as Operation Barbarossa in 1941. Hitler sought to secure the vast resources of the Soviet Union and believed that the USSR would crumble under the Nazi war machine. However, the harsh winter and fierce Soviet resistance led to a disastrous German campaign, draining their resources and morale. In December of the same year, the war took a global turn with the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor by Japan. This brazen assault led to the direct involvement of the United States in the conflict. With its industrial and military might, the United States would play a significant role in the Allied victory. Finally, we come to the Battle of Stalingrad, one of the deadliest battles in human history. The city's strategic location and symbolic name made it a high-stakes target for Hitler. However, after months of brutal combat, the Red Army managed to encircle and defeat the German Sixth Army, marking a decisive turning point in the war. These major events shifted the momentum of the war, leading the Allies on a path towards victory. Each played a crucial role in shaping the course of World War II, demonstrating the unpredictable nature of warfare, where courage, strategy, and sometimes even the weather can turn the tides of history. The war was not only about battles and tactics but also witnessed one of the most horrific acts of genocide in history. What happened during the Holocaust? A dark chapter in human history, the Holocaust was a systematic state-sponsored persecution and murder of approximately 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime and its collaborators. This gruesome genocide was orchestrated under the tyrannical rule of Adolf Hitler, who saw Jews as an inferior race and a threat to the so-called Aryan racial purity and community. The Holocaust was carried out in stages, commencing with the implementation of discriminatory laws and culminating in the final solution, a plan for the complete extermination of Jews. Jews were herded into ghettos, forced into slave labor, and subjected to inhumane living conditions. The brutal regime saw no distinction among men, women, or children. All were victims of its inexplicable hatred. The Holocaust's most sinister manifestation was the concentration camps, where millions of Jews were systematically annihilated. These camps, including Auschwitz, Bergen-Belsen, and Treblinka, became the deadly terminus for those transported there. The world outside remained largely oblivious to the scale of the horror unfolding within these camps. The concentration camps were essentially death factories, where Jews were methodically exterminated in gas chambers or worked to death. The sheer scale of the mass murder that took place is difficult to comprehend. It was a calculated and meticulously planned genocide, the likes of which the world had never seen before. However, the full extent of the Holocaust was only uncovered after the end of the war. When Allied forces liberated the camps, they were confronted with the harrowing sight of skeletal survivors and piles of corpses. The world was shocked and horrified at the depth of Nazi brutality. The Holocaust stands as a grim reminder of the atrocities of war. It is a testament to the depths of cruelty that humans can descend into when driven by hatred and prejudice. It's a stark warning from history, a lesson that such horrors must never be allowed to happen again. How did a war of such magnitude finally end? This question has occupied historians since the last shots were fired in 1945. The answer lies in a series of pivotal events that marked the final stages of World War II. Let's start with the Normandy invasion, or as it's famously known, D-Day. This was an assault of unprecedented scale, launched by the Allies on June 6, 1944. The invasion marked the turning point of the war, breaking the Atlantic Wall and opening a second front against Germany. Over 100,000 soldiers stormed the beaches of Normandy, marking the beginning of the end for the Axis powers. While the war raged on in Europe, a parallel conflict was playing out in the Pacific. In a desperate bid to end the war swiftly and save lives, the United States made the controversial decision to drop atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. The devastation was unimaginable. The cities were leveled, and the death toll was staggering. Japan, reeling from the catastrophe, surrendered just days later. Back in Europe, Germany was cornered. The Allies had advanced from both the east and the west, leaving the German forces with no way out. On May 7, 1945, Germany officially surrendered. The once formidable Nazi regime, which had plunged the world into chaos, was finally defeated. These events, the Normandy invasion, the atomic bombings, and Germany's surrender, were the final strokes that ended the deadliest conflict in human history. But they were also the start of a new era. An era marked by the advent of nuclear weapons, the reshaping of political landscapes, and the beginning of the Cold War. With the surrender of Germany and Japan, World War II finally came to an end, leaving a world forever changed. What were the consequences of this global conflict? In the wake of World War II, the world was left grappling with the devastating aftermath. Among the most significant outcomes was the creation of the United Nations. Founded in 1945, the United Nations was designed to prevent such cataclysmic wars from happening again. Nations from around the globe banded together, pledging to uphold peace and security, foster friendly relations among nations, and promote social progress, better living standards, and human rights. But while the world yearned for peace, the seeds of a new conflict had already been sown. The aftermath of World War II saw the beginning of the Cold War, a tense and protracted struggle for global supremacy between the two superpowers of the time, the United States and the Soviet Union. This ideological and political conflict would shape international relations for much of the second half of the 20th century, and its echoes can still be heard today. A stark symbol of this new era was the division of Germany. After the fall of the Third Reich, Germany was divided into 4 zones of occupation, controlled by the United States, Britain, France, and the Soviet Union. The capital, Berlin, was also split, with the eastern part falling under Soviet control. This division would lead to the construction of the infamous Berlin Wall and become a potent symbol of the Cold War. The aftermath of World War II also brought significant economic and political changes. Countries ravaged by the war had to rebuild and modernize their economies. The Marshall Plan, initiated by the United States, played a crucial role in the recovery of Western Europe. Meanwhile, many colonies in Asia and Africa seized the moment to fight for and gain their independence, forever altering the political map of the world. World War II reshaped the world, setting the stage for the geopolitical landscape of the 20th century. The consequences of this global conflict are still evident today, a stark reminder of our shared history and the enduring quest for peace.